Jayanila Premadana Karuna Pracho Hena Prabhu Kota Kela Acharya Thakur Kahamora Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan I'll take that. You can do the harmonium. Kahamora Bhatta Yuga Kaha Kaviraj Kahamora Bhatta Yuga Kaha Kaviraj Eka Kale Kota Gela Gora Nataraj Pashane Kotibo Mata Anale Pashiba Goranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Kele Pabo Sabha Sangira Sange Ekoilo Vilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamadas Jayanila Premadana Karuna Pracho Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. What happened to Matthias? Does anybody know? Kitchen? You didn't see him? All right, today. Yeah, just give me a moment. I'm getting there. This isn't my first time doing this. So today is the disappearance of Sri Bhagarbha Goswami and Sri Kashishvara Pandit. Thank you. So therefore we sang this song. Parshada Bhagavad Viraha Janati Vilapa, or Yanila Premadana. Translation: He who brought the treasure of divine love and who is filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasa Acharya gone? Where am I Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta, and where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. So first off, we could ask the question, does anybody remember anything about Bhagarbha Goswami or Kashishvara Pandit? Yes, Ramapati. To see the deities? Nice.
Wasn't he also sent to resurrect the pastime? They preceded the six Goswamis. He preceded the six Goswamis.
Yeah. Any other thing you remember? What about Kashishvara Pandit? Anyone remember? All right, so today we will hear about them, and we could try to commit very short biographies, because much of Lord Chaitanya's associates, they don't really have that many they don't have long biographies, and they're briefly mentioned in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, so we could try to commit them to memory. Of course, Kashishvara Pandit and Bhagarbha Goswami, in a sense, they're not personalities that we may think of all the time or meditate on, like the six Goswamis or personalities like that. But so here we'll hear something about Sri Bhagarbha Goswami. First of all, he's a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. Sri Bhagarbha Goswami shared an intimate friendship with Sri Lokanath Goswami. So he's a friend of Lokanath Goswami. And who is Lokanath Goswami? A spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur. So he was in that particular era. Inspired by Lord Chaitanya, they were the first and most senior devotees to settle in Vrindavan. So Lokanath Goswami and Bhagarbha Goswami. As Dravida Prabhu was saying, what was the word you used? Preceded? Preceded. Yeah, preceded the six Goswamis. Before the arrival of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana Goswamis, they tried to uncover the lost holy places of Radha Govindaji. Okay, another thing Dravida Prabhu said. Unlike the aggressive approach of modern scientists to discover the unknown, Bhagarbha and Lokanath Goswamis found Sri Krishna's pastime forest by the humble method of surrender. They simply wandered around Vrindavan calling out the names of her 12 forests. Bandiravan, Kamyavan, Mahavan, Talavan. No diacritics in this book, so. And Srimati Vrinda Devi, the maintainer of the forest and an expansion of Krishna's pastime potency, revealed the exact location of each and every forest. It is told that to avoid material distractions, Bhugarbha would perform his bhajan underground. So that's an interesting thing to remember about him. He would chant, but it would be underground. It's interesting because you think in Vrindavan at that particular time, it's like how much distractions are there? It's not like there's buses going by or Hong Kong. A lot more peacocks. Yeah, there was peacocks, and anyways, but so it gives us an idea of the importance of silence to chant Hare Krishna. So he received the name Bhugarbha. Bhu means earth and Garbha means cave. Womb, hidden place. He is Prema Manjari or Bhadra Rekika in Radha Gopinath Nitya Nukunja Leela. His samadhi stands near Rupa Goswami's in the Radha Damodar courtyard. So he's a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. He's a friend of Lokanath Goswami. He preceded the 6 Goswamis. He helped discover the lost holy places, the forest specifically. And he would chant underground to avoid material distraction. Therefore his name Bhu. Bhu means earth. Garbha means cave, so he would be hiding underneath to chant. So these are a few things we could remember. I think this is pretty simple to remember. There's not much. So I think we could remember that. We could try to remember that. Okay, next, Kashishvara Pandit. Sri Ishwara Puri sent his disciples, Govinda and Kashishvara Pandit, to Jagannath Puri to humbly serve Lord Chaitanya. So Ishwara Puri is the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. So Govinda and Kashishvara Pandit, well, at least with Govinda, he is a godbrother of Lord Chaitanya. Yeah, it sounds like it also. Okay, yes. And the next it says, reluctant to accept service from his godbrother, Sri Chaitanya finally agreed since it was his guru's wish. Named Kalavati and Sasi Rekha and Vraj-lila, Govinda and Kashishvara bring Yamuna water to Lord Sri Krishna. Kashishvara Pandit, who was strong and powerfully built, used to walk before Lord Chaitanya, keeping the crowds from touching him. And after kirtans, he would serve prasadam to all the devotees. So he's like a bodyguard of Lord Chaitanya, Kashishvara Pandit. Sri Gaurasundar asked Kashishvara to move to Vrindavan for worshipping Sri Rupa Goswami's deity of Govindaji. Fearing separation from Lord Chaitanya, Kashishvara said, "My Lord, if I must give up your association, my heart will split in two." Out of compassion for his devotee, Lord Gaurachandra gave him a deity of himself that was so perfectly formed it exactly resembled the Lord. Gaur Govinda, the deity's name, is a golden form of Krishna playing a flute. Then Kashishvara Pandit happily went to Vrindavan to serve Gaur Govinda and Govindaji. Sadhana Deepika says, I worship Sri Kashishvara Pandit, whose power of love and devotion brought Sri Chaitanya to Western India as a deity. Today, the original deities of Gaur Govinda and Govindaji are lovingly adored by thousands of devotees in Jaipur, Rajasthan. So he is a god brother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was like a bodyguard of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very strong. He would keep the crowds away. He was a prasadam server. He'd serve the devotees prasadam. And Lord Chaitanya asked him to go to Vrindavan, and he gave him a deity of Gaur Govinda, golden form of Krishna playing a flute. And Kashishvara Pandit, he went to Vrindavan and worshipped Gaur Govinda and Govindaji, Rupa Goswami's deity. It's interesting because Lord Krishna is usually not, you don't really see him so much gold, but so these are some things about Kashishvara Pandit. I think this is very easy to remember too. God brother, bodyguard, prasadam server, Gaur Govinda. We could remember that. So those are some things about them. Now we'll read the Bhagavatam. Now, just a small announcement. I don't mind at all, actually. It doesn't bother me at all. But it does bother Dharmaseta Prabhu. We set up the Vyasa Sun, we set up the mic, we set up the table, we set up Tulsi very nicely. The devotees are doing a great job setting up Tulsi. We started this program somewhat recently. It's very nice to have Tulsi here in the class. We set up the sign. But probably like maybe 80%, I don't know, maybe it's an exaggeration, but quite often we could ask Tapas to do a look at Dharmaseta Prabhu's classes for the last year, and he could tell us how many times Dharmaseta has critiqued. Does everybody remember what he says about the cup? He says, "Oh, the Monday speaker left me some water." Okay, good. Means, he wants fresh water. That's what it means. Or the other critique is, if there's Tulsi, he goes, "Oh, I gotta drink this Tulsi down." So, and again, I don't mind personally. You never heard me complain about it, but he does. So I think as a service to him and Bhagavatam speakers, we could just fill up the cup. So I guess we could start now. Chad, you want to do the honors? Just for the pleasure of Dharmaseta and, other speakers. Again, I don't mind at all, but just others. Okay, so we will read from text, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 14, Ideal Family Life. Text 41. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. Purusheshu Api Rajendra Supatram Brahmanam Viduhu Tapasa Vidyaya Tushtya Datte Vedam Haris Tanum Purusheshvapi Rajendra Supatram Brahmanam Viduhu Tapasa Vidyaya Tushtya Datte Vedam Haristanum Purusheshvapi Rajendra Supatram Brahmanam Viduhu Tapasa Vidyaya Tushtya Datte Vedam Haristanum Purusheshvapi Rajendra Supatram Brahmanam Viduhu Tapasa Vidyaya Tushtya Datte Vedam Haristanum. Purushesh Virajendra Patram Brahmanam Viduhu Tapasa Vidyaya Tushtya Datte Vedam Harishtanam. Okay, Purusheshu, among persons. Api, indeed. Raja Indra, O best of kings. Supatram, the best person. Brahmanam, the qualified Brahman. Viduhu, one should know. Tapasa, due to austerity. Vidya, education. Tushtya, and satisfaction. Datte, he assumes. Vedam, the transcendental knowledge known as Veda. Harihe, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tanum, body or representation. Chad, do you think you could grab that book that's right there on top? If you look up on that, on those hooks. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear King, of all persons, a qualified Brahman must be accepted as the best within this material world, because such a Brahman, by practicing austerity, Vedic studies, and satisfaction, becomes the counterpart body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. From the Vedas, we learn that the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Person. Every living entity is an individual person, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the Supreme Person. A Brahman who is well versed in Vedic knowledge and fully conversant with transcendental matters becomes a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore one should worship such a Brahman or Vaiṣṇava. A Vaiṣṇava is superior to a Brahman because whereas a Brahman knows that he is Brahman, not matter, a Vaiṣṇava knows that he is not only Brahman but also an eternal servant of the Supreme Brahman. Therefore worship of a Vaiṣṇava is superior to worship of the deity in the temple. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Sakshadaриtvena samasta shastra. In all the scriptures, the spiritual master, who is the best of the Brahmins, the best of the Vaishnavas, is considered to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This does not mean, however, that the Vaishnava thinks himself God, for this is blasphemous. Although a Brahman or Vaishnava is worshipped as being as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such a devotee always remains a faithful servant of the Lord and never tries to enjoy the prestige that might accrue to him from being the Supreme Lord's representative. Om Ganatividandasya Gananjana Shulakaya Chakshulad Maditamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karitavachalam Pangam Langaitegirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinitaranam Vancha Kapadiru Bishcha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the devotee of Krishna carries Krishna within their heart. And because they are carriers of Krishna, that is one reason they're worshipable. Of course, if we think about it, every body, in every body resides the super soul, the Krishna within the heart. So every body is a temple in that way, and that Krishna resides there. along with the living entity. But because a devotee is surrendered to Krishna, they are special carriers of Krishna in the sense that that they're not ignorantly carrying Krishna in their heart. They're aware of that. They're aware of Krishna within their heart, and they're aware of Krishna within the hearts of all living entities. And because of this awareness and because of their devotion, they're able to give Krishna to others. And this is the main business of the spiritual master. They give Krishna to others. And it's the business of preachers. Preachers, they give Krishna to others. As devotees, they'll go out and distribute books today. It's the, I could say, one of the best things happening in San Diego. I could say it's the best thing happening in San Diego. People are getting a chance to come in contact with Krishna in the form of transcendental knowledge. So in this way, devotees are giving Krishna freely. And devotees will also go on Harinam sometime. And they will also give Krishna to others in the form of the holy name. We'll have the program tonight. We'll be distributing the name of Krishna there. So in this way, devotees are distributing Krishna freely, giving people the opportunity, no charge. The faster we could come to this realization that Krishna is within our heart and He's within the hearts of all living entities, the better. Because in the lower stages of devotion, there's no sense of that. There's no sense of really Krishna being in my heart, and there's no sense of Krishna being in the heart of living entities. And therefore there tends to be offenses towards devotees, Vaiṣṇava aparad. Instead of worshiping the devotees, we offend the devotees because of lack of realization or lack of understanding. But similarly with the jiva, I mean, there's also jiva aparad. I mean, Krishna is within the heart of all living entities. Just because the guy's, what's that word? What's the word called? Ignoramus? Is that what it's called? Ignoramus. Just because the guy's an ignorant fellow who doesn't understand Krishna's in his heart doesn't mean that we could just offend him. But Krishna's also there. There's a temple. The body's a temple. Everybody's a temple. So by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, by relishing Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Nigamakalpataro galitam phalam. It is the what is it? Ripened fruit of all Vedic wisdom. And has become even sweeter after Shukadev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam. So the more we could read Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we could relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we could read and relish the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in such books as Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, and so on. And the more we could take shelter of the holy name of Krishna, the more that Krishna blesses us with this particular realization, which we should understand it's a blessing. It's a revelatory process. Krishna reveals it to us. Just like in the pastime of Mother Yashoda and Damodar, Mother Yashoda was trying very intensely, like all day long, and she was failing. At least in her particular goal, which was to tie Krishna up. She was failing in that all day long. But she wasn't giving up. So similarly, the idea is that if we just endeavor and continue to endeavor despite whatever seemingly failure is there, or real failure is there, eventually Krishna will illuminate our hearts and will illuminate our consciousness, which means that He'll give us realization that Krishna, that He's there and He's in the hearts of all living entities, and that factually the Vaishnavas are worshipable. So you have Krishna book here. I'll just read a very brief excerpt from Krishna book. This is Lord Krishna teaching us the importance of worshipping Brahmins or worshipping devotees. This is in chapter 80, Krishna meeting with Sudama Brahman. So Sudama Brahman was an old childhood friend of Krishna, Gurukul buddies. Those of you who are in the Gurukul, I think most weren't in the Gurukul. We got Ramapati in the Gurukul, so he has old Gurukul buddies. I meet them all over the country. When I travel, I go to Hawaii, and Ramapati's got some Gurukul buddies. I go to Tucson, he's got some Gurukul buddies. He's got Gurukul buddies all over. They say, you know Ramapati? I say, yes. So he understands what it's like. You meet an old Gurukul buddy, someone you grew up with. But we also have, we may have had friends, 10, 15, 20 years friends, and when we meet an old friend, it's always a very pleasurable experience, if they're our friend, right? So Sudama and Krishna were good friends. And Sudama Brahman, he went to see Krishna. And he was asking, he was sent to ask Krishna for some help, although he really didn't want to. But his wife sent him to ask for help. Now, an interesting point of this, because we may think, oh yeah, the wife, she's not satisfied at home, right? She wants something. But actually, the wife was thinking of Sudama Brahman for his satisfaction. She wanted him to go ask Krishna, can you help us out a bit? Because they were living in these shambles, extremely poor, and so on. Most people, they would ask Krishna for help in such a situation. So, let's see here. All right. It was, of course, very difficult to reach the palaces of the kings of the Yadu dynasty, but Brahmins were allowed to visit. When the Brahmin friend of Lord Krishna went there, he, along with other Brahmins, had to pass through 3 military encampments. In each camp there were very big gates, and he also had to pass through them. After the gates and the camps, there were 16,000 big palaces. Can you imagine that? We've never seen such a thing. The residential quarters of the 16,000 queens of Lord Krishna. The Brahmin entered one palace which was very gorgeously decorated. When he entered this beautiful palace, he felt that he was swimming in the ocean of transcendental pleasure. He felt himself constantly diving and surfacing in that transcendental ocean. So he went into this, out of all the 16,108 palaces, he went into one of them, and felt like he was swimming in an ocean of transcendental pleasure, and he felt he was diving and surfacing in this ocean. At that time, Krishna was sitting on the bedstead of Queen Rukmini. Even from a considerable distance, he could see the Brahmin coming to his home, and he could recognize him as his friend. Lord Krishna immediately left his seat and came forward to receive his Brahmin friend. And upon reaching him, embraced the Brahmin with his 2 arms. So Sudama Brahman came in, Krishna saw him, and Krishna embraced him with his 2 arms. Old Gurukul buddies. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all transcendental pleasure, yet he himself felt great pleasure upon embracing the poor Brahmin, because he was meeting his very dear friend. Krishna had him seated on his own bedstead and personally brought all kinds of fruits, drinks to offer him, and drinks, as is proper in receiving a worshipful guest. Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme pure, but because he was playing the role of an ordinary human being, he immediately washed the Brahmin's feet, and for his own purification sprinkled the water onto his head. It's very humble, right, Krishna? He's washing his devotee's feet, Brahmin, and he's taking the water and he's going like this, putting it on his head. After this, the Lord smeared the body of the Brahmin with different kinds of scented pulp. The limbs, huh? The body. Have you ever received such welcome, Ramapati? No? Wash your feet, sprinkle it on the head, and they start going like this in your limbs. Scented pulp such as sandalwood, and there was not just one, there was scented pulp, there was sandalwood, aguru, saffron, so different. He immediately burned several kinds of incense, and as usual offered him arti with burning lamps. After thus offering him an appropriate welcome, and after the Brahmin had taken food and drink, Lord Krishna said, "My dear friend, it is a great fortune that you've come here." So then they continue and they speak about their old Gurukul days in the ashram, and he spends the night. He's in complete ecstasy, Sudama Brahman. And then the next day, this is actually before then, while he's meeting him, Lord Krishna engaged for a long time in talking with Sudama Vipra about their past association. Just like you would like an old friend, you just talk about the past. Then, just to enjoy the company of an old friend, Lord Krishna began to smile and asked, "My dear friend, what have you brought for me? Has your wife given you some nice eatable for me?" While addressing his friend, Lord Krishna looked upon him and smiled with great love. He continued, "My dear friend, you must have brought some preparation for me from your home." Lord Krishna knew that Sudama was hesitating to present him with the paltry chipped rice, which was actually unfit for his eating. Understanding the mind of Sudama, the Lord said, "My dear friend, I am certainly not in need of anything, but if my devotee gives me something as an offering of love, even though it may be very insignificant, I accept it with great pleasure. On the other hand, if a person is not a devotee, even though he may offer me very valuable things, I do not like to accept them. I actually accept only things offered to me in devotion and love. Otherwise, however valuable a thing may be, I do not accept it. If my pure devotee offers me even the most insignificant things, a little flower," it's a small little flower, "a little piece of leaf," Prabhu says a piece of leaf. He doesn't even say a leaf. "A little piece of leaf, a little water, but saturates the offering in devotional love, then not only do I gladly accept such an offering, but I eat it with great pleasure." Krishna assured Sudama that he would be very glad to accept the chipped rice he had brought from home, yet of great shyness, Sudama hesitated to present it to the Lord. Okay, just a little more. He was thinking, how can I offer such an insignificant thing to Krishna? And he simply bowed his head. Krishna, as the Supersoul, knows everything in everyone's heart. He knows everyone's determination and everyone's want. He knew, therefore, the reason for Sudama's coming to him. He knew that, driven by extreme poverty, he had come there at the request of his wife. Thinking of Sudama as his very dear class friend, he knew that Sudama's love for him as a friend was never tainted by any desire for material benefit. In other words, Sudama Brahman, he didn't care. I mean, he wasn't going to Krishna for anything material. Krishna thought, Sudama has not come asking anything from me. Being obliged by the request of his wife, he has come to see me just to please her. Lord Krishna therefore decided that he would give more material opulence to Sudama than could be imagined, even by the King of Heaven. Okay, just one more paragraph. So he gives him, more than the King of Heaven. That's a lot of opulence. He then snatched the bundle of chipped rice which was hanging on the shoulder of the poor Brahmin, packed in one corner of his wrapper, and said, "What is this? My dear friend, you have brought me nice, palatable chipped rice." He encouraged Sudama, saying, "I consider that this quantity of chipped rice will satisfy not only me, but the whole creation. It is understood from this statement that Krishna, being the original source of everything, the root of creation, if we satisfy him, then everyone is satisfied." So then he ate one morsel of rice, and then Rukmini, She told him, "Be careful. I cannot repay this," and so on. So this is Krishna given an example of the idea of worshiping Vaishnavas or serving devotees is very important for spiritual life. And without that, actually, anything else we do won't really bear fruit. It won't bear fruit. Like, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would compare this to like somebody who commits Vaiṣṇava aparad. It's like they are massaging my feet with one hand and beating my head with the other hand. So, not good. So therefore, we want to serve the devotees. Okay, that's some reflections on this. Does anybody have any question or comment? Yes, Matthias.
Yeah, thank you for the class. What are the best ways to serve a Vaishnava?
Well, it depends who they are. There's different types of Vaishnavas, and then there's, depending on our particular position in life or our service that we're doing. There's different ways. For a cook, the best way to serve the devotees is to cook nice prasadam and offer to Krishna, of course, and then offer to the devotees. It's a very wonderful service to do. I know many devotees, they do many different services and they like many different things in Krishna consciousness, but all of them like prasadam. So it's a good way. And also it's a good way for outreach to spread Krishna consciousness, to give people nice prasadam. People remember it. Sometimes we meet people and they say, "Oh, I remember that cookie I got in 1985 or something, Yeah, from Kanai. They talk about the restaurant. "Oh, I remember the restaurant. That was like 30 years ago we had a restaurant here. "Oh yeah, I remember you guys had this really good, So, they're thinking about 30 years later. That's pretty good. And if one is if one is a cleaner, they could clean very nice for the Vaishnavas, make the place clean. It's a nice way to serve the devotees. So in this way, they could use their particular inclinations, their skills for serving the devotees. Sometimes, if one if one is acting as a shiksha guru, as a teacher for other devotees, or at least some other devotees, then they can answer their questions and guide them. That's a way of serving the devotees. So there's many different ways. Rupa Goswami, he mentioned 6. Dadati priti grinnati guyamakati prichati bhunkte bojate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. So priti means with affection or love. Lakshanam, these particular exchanges, he says, to give gifts, accept gifts, give prasadam, accept prasadam, and reveal one's, or you could say the question and answering process, discussion, revealing one's mind, inquiring. These are the 6 loving exchanges. So those are some ways. Or as Ayendra Prabhu would say during the kirtans, he said, "Do not just sit there looking pretty, but, try with all of your energy to chant loudly for the pleasure of Krishna. This will be a good service." I think somebody else Yes.
Thank you. In continue this question, what's the best mood of serving?
Mood? What's the best mood? Well, the Priti Lakshanam, it's their loving exchanges, so it has to be done with, like Sudama, Brahman, and Krishna. You can imagine what type of preparations they were having in that palace. Such opulent preparations were there. Materially and spiritually, the best of the best. But Sudama Brahman came with this little chipped rice. It's like the lowest class rice available. But Krishna, he snatched it and he very enthusiastically honored it because it was brought with love and devotion. So the best way of service is that Priti Lakshanam, the love and appreciation. Just like if you look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the devotees coming from Navadvip, they would come every year for 4 months of the rainy Chaturmasya, and they would celebrate the Rath Yatra, and they would celebrate Snan Yatra and so many wonderful festivals. But there was a whole exchange going on. Chaitanya, he had devotees like Raghava Pandit. He would come, and his sister, him and his sister, they would make all of this wonderful prasadam. It was like really amazing, actually. Some of the preparations, I'm not sure how but it's described. It's like there's like Ganga mud, but it was sifted very finely, and then with some sugar and some ghee and like that. That was one of the preps. And there's so many different preps. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they bring these big bags. I think they call it Raghava what? Huh? Yeah. Raghava's bags of prasadam, right? So it was offered with such great love and devotion, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have a little bit each day. And when the devotees would arrive, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very inquiring about them and naming their children and all types of different things, very affectionately bestowing his mercy upon them. And when they had to go back to Navadvip, you can imagine. They spent 4 months with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then they had to walk back to Navadvip. So they were crying, and they extended it 5 to 7 days longer. Okay, we'll go soon. And it says that they're crying, walking back to Navadvip. So the main ingredient is that love and devotion. Of course, humility is there, and so many other things. But any last? Okay, yes, Trivida Prabhu.
They would bring all of these preps, and then they would ask, "How did Lord Chaitanya enjoy it?" He said, "Oh yeah, he really enjoyed it." But he wasn't really eating it. He was maybe tasting a little bit, and it was piling up. There's a big room with all the bags. And so Govinda finally complained to Lord Chaitanya, every year I have to lie to them about how you're enjoying this prasadam, but you're not really eating it. He said, all right, bring it all. So he, like the whole room full, he ate.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I think only God could do that.
All right, Jai. Yeah, one devotee said, "Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding Chaitanya Charitamrita. It just seems that they're just like, I don't know, they're dancing here and there, and then they're just taking prasadam. It's like, this prasadam, that prasadam. I'm having a hard time understanding." Of course, there's a lot more than that, but okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.